Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. Got another card for you today. Gonna be crazy. Um, I am not sure if this one's joining people or not. Hey, there we go. Cool. I thought I may have had it blocked there for a second. Hey Nick, I was kind of concerned there that I may have had it blocked. Um, Facebook's been acting weird with me the last couple of days, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to go on private or um, invitation only. That's crazy, man. But yeah, I'm going to be drawing a classic penguin here today and knocking it out for you on the weekend here. Stormy and rainy outside here today in Oklahoma City. Uh, we're not getting any noise out of it though. It's not a thunderstorm, just a shower going on. So it's pretty cool. No risk of killing anything. Transformers, electrical equipment, anything like that. Uh, this is extremely short notice today, but I've been hammering out pages for a new project I've got coming up and helping some people with other things they've got going on, and I'm going to start pushing out a lot more work for you guys to see finished product. I've got a couple of cards I got to post today, and I've had them sitting on the sidelines for the last day or two. I need to get that going. But yeah, I made some transitions in things going on so that I could start knocking out some serious work for you guys and release some of these projects that I've got sitting on the sidelines. I've been getting asked about that a lot, and I want to make sure that all that stuff that I'm doing is getting out there for you guys to grab. So I decided to go with this classic version of the penguin because I'm just not one to like the new one as much, especially the new leaner version, the leaner younger one. I'm not sure where that incarnation comes from. I haven't followed it enough to even know, and I'm not going to lie about it and say I do, because I don't. It's probably a new 52 incarnation, but that's okay too. I mean, I understand what Warner is trying to do and, whatnot, and kudos to them for running their business, but and I'm not going to knock them at all. It's not a choice that I would particularly make. Through the lapel of his jacket. So this character brings me up to men. He's like an ultimate monster, but nobody uses it that way. You would think DC would turn him into a major player again, but unfortunately, he always ends up being backburnered. I was just talking with an artist friend of mine, Brian, about that, and yeah, it's just one of those things. He's a very underrated character, especially in the classic form. Hey, Brian, just talking about you, man. Um, yeah, this character is just phenomenal in the classic method. Um, and I'm not talking the 60s style, camp Batman version. I'm talking, which, that's just awesome within itself. But, because he was my favorite character on that show, other than Catwoman, obviously, which is going to be anybody's favorite that's, of the male persuasion. No need to go there. We know that. But, yeah, he was always my favorite character on this series as well as in the comic itself, because it's just one of those things where he was always put in the background as an underestimated character. And, even the Riddler got top billing over him as one of the most lethal villains. But if you do your history on the older Batman books, this guy is the one that popped out of the woodwork and did exactly what he was supposed to do as expected villain, and made mayhem left and right and then disappeared. And that's the exact way you're supposed to do it. I mean, when you got it running amok, it's one of those things where you lose the edge of the character if he's there every issue and does nothing spectacular, and then gets beat up by Batman because it's the same old, i.e. the Joker. And in the Marvel series, that standard was the Green Goblin of Spider-Man, because every time he would go toe to toe with him, he would get his butt kicked. And it's just, come on, man, do something a little different. But I digress. So anyway, yeah, this character is phenomenal. I love working with him. And I'm giving him the classic ridged nose here because the original Penguin, if you check out the old Batman stuff that I'm talking about, he has a knobby little cleft chin, and he has an elongated nose that actually looks like a beak. It's weird, but it works. And that's how he got the name. So it wasn't because he ran around with a bunch of penguins all the time. It's because he looked like one. So and this being a sketch card, I'm going to be kind of heavy with the line here. Move this around and get this top hat edged out. Because it looks awesome like that. And the Penguin always had this funky, his top hats were never like traditional top hats. They were like toys. If you ever look at the way they're designed and whatnot, they have this huge lip on the edge of the brim, and it's just unique to his character. I've always found that a trademark type of thing, because his hat has always looked uniquely changed compared to a traditional top hat. And I've seen a lot of top hats, and this thing is not traditional by any means. And it's never the right size for his head, ever. It's always just a touch smaller. Because it should be way down here, but it's up high. Because that's the way he wears it. He just wears it small. And that character's always been drawn that way as far as I can remember. And he's been around way longer than I have, of course. But as far as I can remember back reading comics, it was always way too small in comparison. And I've had people debate with me that that's a leftover trademark of the 60s series, but which I don't know. I don't argue that point. I just know that it's smaller than what it's supposed to be proportionally to his head. So, you know, he's wearing a hat that's too small. But, whatever works. I mean, it's just comics. It's okay to be to have a difference of opinion. I always preferred this slick look too. Again, back from his mobster days, where he used to slick his hair back. I always loved that look. Throwing down the ash here and the smoke. Alright, I'm going to bring this over. Hold down this edge here so it doesn't curl on me. Give me just a second, bear with me here. Don't want to bend it in the process of trying not to bend it. That would suck. That's a technical term, by the way. Get this collar and lapel finished up. Now this is one of my favorite things to draw on this guy. And like I said the other day when I prepped everybody that this one was coming this week, I've only drawn him a couple of times. But this is one of the things that I've always loved about this character is the trademark bow ties that he wears. Sometimes it's the, you know, Southern style ribbon ties, but I prefer the big, almost gaudy style. I mean, this is way over the top. As people are watching me draw this, it's like the worst dog biscuit ever. But, sorry. I'm going to put out the triangle-shaped collar here. I'm not going to monkey with traditional fold-over collar because this character, another classic mark was that it always had these crazy, crazy stiff starched corners on his collars. And he would fold them out and keep them straight like that. And they would just stay pointing out there underneath the bow tie, and then you would put the corners down behind. So I always loved that aspect. It was just crazy. Put in the other lapel pocket there. Now I'm going to try and ridge this just a little bit, but I don't want it to look too weird. You know, we don't want to go Steve Martin and Roxanne if you ever saw that movie. I know a lot of my younger watchers won't know what that is, but bottom line is I don't want to go overkill, so we'll leave it there. So I'm gonna box this out. And now we've got that blocked. So I'll switch over here to the 9, knock this out. Again, like I said, we'll knock this out real quick. And yes, I know this is a chronic no-no, like I said, with the, as I say every time I do it. Shading with the pencil, don't do that. But, yeah. I'm knocking it out there, adding a little shade to it. A little contrasting texture as well. By flipping the direction, it makes it look a little different. Get my big hand out of the way here so you guys can actually see what I'm drawing. I'm sure if Rusty Gilligan was here today, he's at a Comic-Con right now out in Philly, and I'm sure if he could hang out with us this weekend, he would give me the typical response that he always gives me. Worst Joker ever! So, shout out to my boy out there hiding out in the booth right now. Now, I'm not going to make this reflective with this circle like this. I just do that because of the fact that some slick spots have lighter changes. Because you never know if this is felt or fur or what. But it is what it is. So, going to make that pop off a little bit. Stand out, kind of stylish. Now I'm going to do my typical thing here, and I'm going to block this off. I am not going to try and do all the funky little highlights and whatnot. I don't want to monk up the character here, so I don't want to muddy up the water. Try not to put an indent on his nose. So, just going to black this out, get him moving on. I'm going to go right up against the edge of that shirt there because I just don't want to have that sticking out there odd like that. Whenever you're going to go black up against black like this is something I tell people all the time because I see it and it looks horrible when they go black to black. Don't butt your edges up and make it a blind spot there. Like on the hair, you know, break that up with a light spot. Right here on this is the suit right here. Okay, this should be black. But because the bow tie is going to be black, I don't want to mess with that. And I made a little light there just to break it up just a little bit. And in comics, you have that forgiveness. So take advantage of it. Because if you don't, it'll look weird. Going black against the suit, black against that, it'll look strange. And you don't want double highlights there either with the trim line, because it also makes it look strange too. It'll make it look double lined, and then it'll break the illusion and flatten it out, and you don't want to have that. So be sure, and I'm going to turn this around so I don't bend the card. Be sure and play with that and think about where your light source is coming from and where your edge is on your stuff so that you don't have that problem. Because I see that all the time. And because I do solid blacks like this, a lot of people ask me about that. And I like I said, I just don't want there to be an issue. Now, when I shade this out like this, it leaves that outer edge again. Like I said, it leaves that edge. And I can thicken that up or darken it out. I'll depend on what I decide to do with the inking to judge and determine that. But in most cases, it's going to just flesh it out and leave it alone. It'll flesh out all that black and then leave that edge alone. But like I said, it depends on the artist and what you want to do with it. For me, I'll leave it from that side. I tend to break that rule a lot because of the fact that I can. And again, coming across here, because this is going to be blacked out with this pocket, I want to have it divot over. And look like the fold in the tie. So get my hand out of the way here. See, that's starting to pop off a lot. Let me adjust the light here where you guys can see a little more of it. And because of this edge being lit on this side, I can go ahead and go in there and just black that out. And then leave the outer edge of the suit that way. Again, under normal circumstances with a comic book page, I wouldn't be blackening all this out. Blackening this out is a huge problem for an inker to come in to have to erase all that stuff unless he blue lines it. And what I mean by that is they print off a blue line from your printer under blue ink, super light blue ink, and you can ink that directly. But you're not going to get them to ink directly on the page that way, which is a problem. At least in a professional standard it is, because most of us ink directly over the pencils on the page. So, like I said, blacking it out is not an option for most people in a professional setting. But this being a relaxed sketch card series for you guys, it allows me to do that. And since I'm inking it and I don't really have a problem with that, I can go in and correct that issue. Okay. I've about got this, and then I'll get my big hand out of the way so you guys can see what's going on. There we go. Put in the trademark crow's feet. So, let me get this thing down here. There we go. We have the Penguin. So, hope you guys dug it. Hope you're having a great weekend. And let's see. I will be back on tomorrow with the X-Men's Mystique. This is going to be a tough one because she's all blue. But, yeah, we'll go with it and knock that card out and hang out for a while and have another good time and see if we can make it happen again. So, I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me on a Saturday. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.